They came in the night, 200 ancient beings, radiant and terrible, descending upon Mount Hermon under a starless sky. The Watchers, not mere myths whispered around campfires, not allegories invented by primitive minds. The oldest complete Bible on earth, the Ethiopian Orthodox canon, records their arrival as cold genealogical fact. While the Western world dismisses them as fantasy, the 81-book Ethiopian Bible names them. It details their crimes. It traces their bloodline across generations, and it warns that their legacy never truly ended. Imagine the scene preserved in those ancient Ge'ez manuscripts, copied by hand for 16 centuries in monasteries perched on sheer cliffs. Towering figures with eyes like burning coals, stepping from the veil between realms. They were not demons in the cartoon sense. They were powerful, intelligent, and once entrusted with watching over humanity. Then they chose rebellion. They took human daughters. They fathered children. And those children became the Nephilim. Giants whose bones and spirits still haunt the suppressed pages of our most ancient scriptures. The Book of Enoch, preserved only in the Ethiopian canon, is the smoking gun. Omitted, censored, and buried by the Western Church for over 2,500 years, this text was considered sacred by the apostles themselves. Jude quotes it directly. Early church fathers treated it as authoritative, yet Rome and the Protestant traditions suppressed it. Too dangerous, too revealing, too close to truths they preferred left in darkness. In the Ethiopian highlands, however, it was never omitted. It was guarded, it was studied, and it reveals something the modern world was never meant to remember. The Nephilim did not simply vanish after the flood. Their physical bodies may have been destroyed in the waters of judgment, but their spirits, ancient, hybrid, and hungry, were never bound the same way as their fathers. The Book of Jubilees, another text exclusive to the Ethiopian canon, goes even further. It speaks of these spirits as an active, ongoing infestation upon the earth, waiting for the days when the veil grows thin once more. This is not ancient history. This is a warning written in the blood of a civilization that came before us. The Book of Enoch is the smoking gun. While the King James Bible contains only 66 books, the ancient Ethiopian Orthodox canon preserves 81. Among these suppressed and omitted texts, the Book of Enoch stands as the most explosive. It was not lost by accident. It was deliberately censored. Written in the centuries before Christ and quoted as sacred scripture in the New Testament Book of Jude, Enoch was read and revered by the earliest Christians. Yet by the 4th and 5th centuries, powerful church authorities in the West moved to erase it. Why? Because it pulls back the curtain on a forbidden history the institutional church preferred to keep buried. In the Ethiopian highlands, however, it was never erased. The text opens with a chilling eyewitness account. 200 watchers, a high order of angels, descended upon Mount Hermon in the days of Jared. Their leader, Semjaza, and his chief lieutenant, Azazel, made a pact. They would defy the divine order, take human wives, and produce offspring. What followed was the birth of the Nephilim. These hybrid giants, the Book of Enoch records, grew to monstrous proportions. They consumed everything, animals, then mankind itself. They drank blood and taught humanity forbidden arts, sorcery, the forging of weapons, the secrets of metallurgy, astrology, and the use of cosmetics and enchantments. Civilization before the flood became a nightmare of violence, cannibalism, and occult knowledge. The earth itself cried out under their tyranny. The archangels Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel petitioned the Most High. The response was total judgment. The Watchers were bound in the depths of the earth until the final day of judgment. Their giant sons were slaughtered, their bodies destroyed in the flood. But the Book of Enoch delivers a terrifying detail that most Western Bibles never mention. The spirits of the slain Nephilim were not destroyed. They were allowed to remain on earth as evil spirits, disembodied, restless, and hostile to the children of men. These are the very entities Jesus would later cast out during his ministry. The Book of Jubilees, also preserved exclusively in the Ethiopian canon, reinforces this. It states that these unclean spirits continue their work of corruption, leading humanity into the same abominations that triggered the flood. They are not locked away with their fathers. They walk among us still. This is why the Ethiopian Bible treats the Nephilim not as legend, but as historical and spiritual reality, a bloodline and a spiritual infestation that survived the waters of Noah. And according to these ancient texts, their influence never fully ended. The most disturbing revelation in the Ethiopian canon is not that the Nephilim existed, it is that they never truly left. While their colossal bodies perished in the flood, the Book of Enoch is brutally clear. Their disembodied spirits were permitted to remain. These ancient hybrid entities, half angel, half human, became the unclean spirits that still roam the earth, seeking vessels, whispering into power, and driving humanity toward the same abyss that once demanded total destruction. The Book of Jubilees, another text censored from the Western Bible but preserved in Ethiopia, goes even further. It describes how these Nephilim spirits were allowed to operate under limited authority after the flood, specifically to test and corrupt the descendants of Noah. They did not vanish into legend, they adapted. They learned to work in the shadows, influencing kings, inspiring empires, and seeding occult knowledge across civilizations. This is the modern twist almost no one dares speak aloud. If the Ethiopian texts are correct, many of the darkest patterns we see today, ritual abuse, genetic manipulation, the obsessive pursuit of immortality through technology, and the explosion of occult symbolism in positions of power, are not random. They are echoes of the same forbidden knowledge Azazel and his watchers taught before the flood. The spirits never stopped their work. They simply changed their methods. Ancient accounts preserved in Ethiopia speak of physical remnants as well. Giant skeletons reportedly discovered across the centuries, some measuring 15 to 30 feet, hidden away in suppressed archives or destroyed by those who understood their implications. The text suggests that not every trace was erased by the waters. Some bloodlines carried diluted Nephilim traits forward: unnatural height, unnatural charisma, unnatural hunger for control. These are not medieval fairy tales. These are records guarded in one of the oldest continuous Christian traditions on earth, a canon the Western Church worked hard to suppress. And if the spirits of the Nephilim are still active, then the question is no longer, did they exist? But where are they operating now? The algorithm rarely promotes content this controversial. Help us bypass the censors by dropping a comment with the word "Watcher" right now and subscribing for more forbidden history. Your support keeps these suppressed truths alive. Look at Axum. In the ancient highlands of Ethiopia, where the 81-book canon was preserved, stand the tallest monolithic obelisks ever carved by human hands. The largest rises 108 feet into the sky, cut from a single block of granite weighing over 500 tons. These structures are not simple monuments. They are engineering impossibilities for any known Bronze Age culture. Mainstream archaeology calls them royal stelae. The Ethiopian tradition tells a darker story. Local chronicles and oral accounts passed down through the Tewahedo Church speak of a time when giants helped erect these stones. Legends describe beings of unnatural strength who could move megaliths that modern cranes would struggle with. Some of the oldest Ge'ez manuscripts even link these structures to the lingering knowledge left behind by the Watchers: sacred geometry, harmonic resonance, and the manipulation of massive stone through techniques long since suppressed. Across Ethiopia and the Horn of Africa, similar megalithic sites continue to baffle experts. Precision-cut blocks joined without mortar, alignments with star systems that the Watchers themselves allegedly taught humanity. These are not isolated anomalies. They form part of a global pattern of ancient megalithic architecture that appears suddenly after the flood, as if someone was trying to recreate the glory of the pre-flood world. The Book of Enoch and Jubilees both record that the Watchers taught humanity the arts of working stone and metal. When their giant suns were destroyed, fragments of that knowledge survived. The spirits of the Nephilim, still active according to the Ethiopian texts, would later inspire similar projects throughout history: the pyramids of Egypt, the temples of Baalbek, the impossible walls of Sacsayhuaman. These monuments stand as silent witnesses, suppressed evidence that something far larger than ordinary humanity once walked the earth. Every time a new giant skeleton is quietly removed from public view or a megalithic site is explained away as religious symbolism, the pattern repeats. The Ethiopian Church never hid these connections. While the Western world censored the source texts, Ethiopia kept both the writings and the physical monuments. They stand together as proof. The Nephilim were real, their influence was physical as well as spiritual, and their remnants are still visible if one knows where and how to look.